This is Julio's Corner, my corner of the internet, where I talk about whatever is on my mind. I'll mostly talk about stuff I've watched, read, or listened to, but I may get introspective at times and reflect on my life or on society at large. This episode is being recorded on Monday, July 7th, 2025. And it's been quite a week. A lot has been happening. Not good stuff, of course. It's been very nightmarish. Let's start off a little light. I got my haircut, as you can see in the video if you're watching this on YouTube. I finally got my long-awaited haircut, so my hair's cut is trimmed nicely. 4th of July was this past week, though nothing to be proud of it because it's been, as I said, nightmarish. But I got extra pay out of it, so there's that. Did some overtime, so some extra pay with that as well. Being the week that it has been, I figured it was apropos to recheck 1984. I have the audiobook of it as well as an ebook, so I'm doing a little bit of both. I just started yesterday, so I'm on the first chapter. And as I mentioned, it's very apropos of what's happening with the current administration, especially when you look at the three slogans that is supposed to be imprinted on all of the citizens of the society that 1984 is depicting. The first one is "War is peace," which is ironic because I was talking about that with Iran. We want to have peace in Iran by bombing them because that makes sense totally. Freedom is slavery. So yeah, we can't have our rights, which is very much what's happening right now. This country is slowly taking away any civil liberties that citizens have, freedom of speech and what have you, and even our very citizenship. Like if they don't like your stances on things, if they're unfavorable to the current regime, they'll just revoke it. At least that's what they want to do, especially if you're a person of color, and that they're easy targets. And last, the third one, ignorance is strength. And how else is this administration running but just constantly lying and lying and lying, and the media is not really fact-checking them. And we will talk about some stories regarding that because, again, this is the world we live in now. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. And that is very, very true in what's happening right now in our country, in the country of the US of A. So this book is very much not so much fiction at the moment. And then, of course, there's the four ministry departments in the book that I found very telling. And I mean, like I said, it's very apropos. You have the Ministry of Truth, which is the department or the ministry that controls the news, the entertainment, the education, and the fine arts. The Kennedy Place of Performing Arts, I forget the title of that institution. Trump has taken control of that. And the head of that place has since resigned because he didn't want to be a part of it. The news, as I mentioned, Trump wants the news to say his truth, not the truth, but his personal truth. So whatever he says is the truth, and anything anyone else says is a lie. And that is what the Ministry of Truth is all about. It's about painting and warping the world to just see what they tell you. You have the Ministry of Peace, which of course is the War Department. And they call Trump the great peacemaker, and all he is doing is aggravating and agitating the world. You have the Ministry of Love, which is supposed to maintain law and order. He has his own Gestapo with ICE, and it's only going to get more and more powerful with this big, beautiful bill, which we will discuss. And then there's the Ministry of Plenty, which is economic affairs. And the big, beautiful bill is very much involved with the economy of the common folk. So anyway, let's go on with the jingle. But again, yeah, that's what the book I'm reading. I'm going to get more into it But enough about me. Let's get on to the actual stuff that's happening. Okay, so as I mentioned, the big, beautiful bill has finally passed both the Senate and the House of Representatives. I'm sure Trump has signed off on it if he hasn't already signed off on it. So I have a couple of bullet points regarding the big, beautiful bill, and it's not good news at all. So for Trump's powers to be increased and further stomping and trampling the Constitution and the rights of American citizens, he is getting an additional. He's getting 175. Wow, I can't talk right now. I'm so uh, flustered and defeated. 175 billion dollars is going to be going into immigration enforcement. What that means is he's going to continue his policy of going after the illegal immigrants, the criminals, if you will, and mainly really he's using this as an excuse to go after people of color because they have this very um, he has euthanasia, euthenic tendencies, and he wants to make America white. That's really the bottom line. So anybody of color, he's going to try to hit hard and revoke citizenships and things like that. Right now, they're dealing with immigrants, people who, and by immigrants, because this is a country of immigrants. If you want to say who's not an immigrant, we're looking at the indigenous people and Native Americans that have been sequestered to their reservations. So everyone else is a descendant of immigrants in this country, except for like I mentioned, the indigenous people or Mexicans, since a lot of this land was originally Mexico, so they just never left. But anyways, so mostly immigrants that don't speak English are the ones that are being targeted: mothers, children, gardeners, farmers, the like. Those that are powerless and they're trying to go through the normal legal procedures of getting their green cards and their residencies. They're getting arrested and kidnapped essentially in the immigration courts and or at their job sites. And so this is only going to be further expanded because they're going to indicate, I mentioned, like $175 billion is going to go to this whole effort. Part of that is going to give $30 billion to ICE to be spent over the next 4 years. To put that in perspective, they currently have a budget of $8 billion a year. So now they're getting an additional $30 billion on top of the $8 billion they get a year. $45 billion will be going to detention facilities, or they're really concentration camps at this point, but they're going to call them detention facilities, which will also be spent over the next 4 years. And of course, currently the U.S. spends about $8 billion a year on the Bureau of Prisons. So on top of the normal $8 billion, they're getting the additional 45. So yeah, if you think the current atrocities of these masked men wearing army gear, grabbing these non-English speakers or people that can speak English but maybe with a strong accent, or just immigrants at large that are legal and honest workers, and just because they don't like the color of their skin, because they have to hit their quota of 3,000 a day. If you think that's atrocious now, because that's what's happening right now, this is only going to further exacerbate that situation and make it much more miserable to these kids and women and innocent people just trying to make an honest living, simply because they're not white. Um, Another way to put this in perspective, with this new budget that ICE is getting, ICE is now going to be bigger than the FBI agency. Not only that, on top of being bigger than the FBI, this budget is bigger than the whole defense budget of, say, Italy or Israel or Russia or the Netherlands or Brazil or Switzerland. We're talking one, two, three, four, five, six different countries that have a military budget that's going to be smaller than this one, that's specifically just for ICE, for the secret police of that Trump has control of, and completely tell them what to do. His own secret army, essentially. This is going to be his version of the Nazis, secret police, and it's going to be bigger than those countries, which is just total insanity. And the Senate approved it. I mean, the freaking Congress just bent the knee to Trump to allow this to happen. Um, so on top of that misery of increasing the budget to these people, and of course giving tax cuts to the rich, so they pay even less than they're currently paying, which isn't much compared to the percentages of what middle class and the lower class pay, like myself, who are just barely, eking by. They have all the luxuries of life, no financial worries, and now they're gonna have even extra money to just waste away while we're literally wasting away. On top of that misery, they're going to, because how are we going to try to balance this out if we're giving cuts to these people and sending money over there to further totalitarian atrocities? We got to make cuts somewhere. So of course we're going to cut Medicaid and SNAP, which is what used to be food stamps. So for the people who can barely afford to buy food and they get these food stamps or SNAP subsidies, some of them are not going to get it. So you're just going to have to starve. Sorry, you just can't eat today. We need money for these ICE Gestapos. Sorry. It sucks to be you. Sucks to be you that you can't eat now. You're gonna have to go another day with an empty stomach. But that's just the way it goes. You're not born rich. I'm trying to go over my notes here because I wrote so much, and I thought I had it all pinned in my head, but I don't. Oh yeah, $350 billion is going to go. It's also going to go to Trump's borders and national security agenda. So just furthering, ICE is just a subsect of that. You also have Homeland Security and those folks. It's just I can't. Yeah, I mean it's just it's disenfranchising. It's very depressing. So that's happening with the big beautiful bill. Oh yeah, 17 million are going to lose Medicaid coverage. Just so you have a better visual, a number. 17 million are going to be losing their Medicaid coverage. So on top of not being able to eat, they also can't go to the hospital. And they try to paint this as, well, there's a lot of these able working people who aren't working, and so we're gonna set this. We're gonna implement this. Prerequisite. You need to work at least 20 hours a week. But if they're able-bodied, so the whole Medicaid isn't money. Medicaid is your doctor fees are covered. So if they have no money and they're going to the doctor with their Medicaid coverage, it's because they have no money and they're not able-bodied. They have no one goes to the doctor for funsies. You don't. It's not like going to a spa. You're going there because you need treatment. So to take away this coverage, and the picture you're painting is because these healthy people just don't want to work. I mean, going to the doctor is not giving them money either. It's just wasting their time. If they don't want to work, they wouldn't be wasting, and they're able-bodied. They wouldn't be wasting their time going to the doctor. They would be hanging out and partying. But obviously, if they're using Medicaid coverage, it's because there's a need, there's a medical need for it, and they're not as able-bodied as you're claiming with this narrative that you're making. You remember, ignorance is strength, and war is peace, and freedom is slavery. The Ministry of Truth is all about their truth, not the truth. And when this bill was passing, and the vice president, because he helped in the Senate, it was the votes were split, so they needed a tiebreaker vote. And of course, J.D. Vance, the vice president, in those situations where it's a split, the vice president has the tie-breaking vote, and of course he did. He voted in favor of the bill, and his whole spin on it is that don't look at the Medicaid and all those other things. That's just minutia. That's just it's just trivialities. And I'm paraphrasing. The bottom line is, he's basically saying the bottom line is that we need the money for ICE and immigration enforcement provisions is really what this bill is about, because we are in such a like the city, like the country is in such distress with immigration, which of course it isn't. They just use immigration as an excuse to further ferment misery to the poor and working class, and hiding it and disguising it under, it's the immigrants' fault that you're out of a job. They're the ones taking it. But if they're taking this low-paying job, that's not a job you were doing in the first place, was it? So no, they didn't take that job away from you, and getting rid of them is not helping you. It's just maybe it makes you feel better for a moment, but you're still out of a job, and you're still suffering financially, and only the rich who are getting those tax breaks are the ones that are that are getting a benefit from it. And the corporations where those immigrants got taken out, they're being helped because now they have the leverage to be like, see, you can't be trying to make a union in my company because I'll just make a phone call and Trump will come here with his ICE and get rid of you. So you better be a good worker and just take the crap I give you. So anyway, speaking of their truth, not the truth, Christine Nome was talking to Fox News and some other people. I think it was just Fox News, but she was being asked about ICE or whatever, and she came up with this crazy story about, because she wants to paint that ICE is really doing this great job of, grabbing the criminals from our country that are plaguing our country, these illegal immigrants that are criminals. And really, they just want you to think of, whenever you hear immigrants, you think illegal immigrants, automatically criminal, illegal. It's in the word, illegal. They're criminals automatically. That's just what they want you to think, when in fact that's not the case. But that's what they want you to be scared and like, no, we got to get rid of all these immigrants. They're illegal. And so to add to this weird narrative of hysteria, she paints this picture of like, yeah, I just had this marshal here. They had a cannibal among this plane load of illegal immigrants, these criminals in there. There was one guy who was just eating himself. He was so hungry, and he's a cannibal, and he's eating himself, which is just insanity. And the news is trying to get ICE to report to, back up her story, and no one's saying a word about this because it's just a complete lie. But she doubled down on it a few times. She just kept bringing it up, like, yeah, this freaking cannibal here is eating himself, and he's handcuffed there, and he's just eating himself because he's a cannibal and he's hungry or whatever. And the way they say it, like, not even like in a like she said it in like a very matter-of-fact way, so it wasn't even like a terrified way or in a way of like, what, this person's mental, like if they're eating themselves, that's self-harm. Something must be wrong. They should get help. But these people don't think that way. They think of immigrants or anyone that's not white as lesser. You're not at my station. You're not my version of human. You're subhuman. You're lesser than me. So I don't need to have any empathy for you. I don't have to relate to you. You're other. And so by by thinking that way, you're able to portray this. You're able to make such a crazy story about this cannibal immigrant that's eating themselves while being detained in a plane full of other immigrants that are scary criminals, according to you. And it's like commonplace. Like you're trying to make this a commonplace narrative, the way we make Islamophobia just like, yeah, I mean, it's okay to be Islamophobic because they're all terrorists. That's what they are. That's what Islamists are. Um, so yeah, that's a crazy story that Chrissy Nome was trying to push as fact. On top of that, in a little more serious situation about narratives being twisted or being affected in the future, Paramount, also known as the owner of CBS, CBS News, 60 Minutes, that's what you think of when you think of CBS and Paramount. They settled with Trump. They had an ongoing lawsuit with Trump about he was suing them for like being misrepresented or representing Kamala in a false way, which was pretty much would have been a slam dunk lawsuit for CBS or Paramount to win. However, because they're in the middle of a merger that they're trying to do with, I believe Skynet is the name of the company that they're trying to have a merger with. Because of that, they decided to just settle and give $16 million to Trump, which some people are seeing it as this is just a bribe. They're just buying him out. Like, okay, we're going to give you $16 million. Just let our merger go through and we'll let you get your way. So now Trump has this case that he can use as president. See, these people lie about me. And CBS even admitted, CBS, the proud CBS owner of 60 Minutes, they admit that they make lies about me. So whatever I say is the truth. And if you lie about me or not say, really, you don't say what I tell you to say, I'm going to do this to you as well. And now he has precedent because CBS sold out for their, merger for, profit's sake or whatever. Zohran Mamdani is still in the news. Not because he won, but because he's being constantly attacked by both Democrats and Republicans alike. And Trump has now entered the fray. And he's accusing Zohran of being a communist because, again, as I mentioned last week, there's people that are pushing the New York Republican Club. I forget the name, the NYRRC or some weird name. They were pushing this idea that maybe we can use the Communist Act to revoke his citizenship and get him out of here. So now Trump is pushing that, yeah, he's a communist. And not only that, but he might be here legally. Like he's trying to question his citizenship, which, so he can try to get president to, he can try to come up with some false steps to try to revoke his citizenship. And also the Supreme Court has recently passed a ruling basically saying that executive decisions cannot be overruled by local courts, which is interesting because when Biden was in office and he was trying to make an executive decision to try to forgive student loans, the Supreme Court said, hold on, this local Texas court over here is saying you can't do that, and we're going to say that they can stop you. So when Biden was president, they said that they allowed small courts to stop an executive order. But now that Trump is in office, lower courts cannot say anything. So if he's going to say, I'm going to revoke your citizenship, or even though you were born here in our soil, you are not a U.S. citizen because your parents are immigrants. And even though that has always been the rule of the land, anyone born on U.S. soil is a citizen, including Trump, because that's how he got his citizenship. Now him as president, he can decide, I don't think so, revoke, and he can take it away. And the Supreme Court is saying, yep. And they did it in a way to not really overtly go against the precepts and laws of the Constitution. They're using some kind of small, weird voodoo magic. I'm not a legal expert, so don't take what I'm saying at face value. But they just, the way they ruled, their ruling is very it's not very legally sound, but that's what they ruled, that his executive orders can now will override any lower court decisions trying to block it, which is just giving Trump more power. Let's see, what else can I say that I'm not happy about? uh, oh yeah, so this weekend Texas has had suffered a flash flood, killing a good amount of people in a campsite, and this is happening in a time when Doge came in and slashed FEMA. They slashed the budget of NOAA. They let go of a bunch of meteorologists. They got rid of a bunch of people from FEMA. They got rid of a bunch of other staffs from agencies that are involved with the weather and federally and things like that. And even in the early days of his administration, they kept trying to say how FEMA is useless and FEMA should get they should get rid of FEMA, and so here we are in a situation where under any other administration, FEMA would have been on the ground, and they would have been supporting the state having a natural disaster. They would have been giving funding and getting all the services and so on going. Now, in this situation of this flooding in Texas, so far Texas is like, hey, hello, we need help, and FEMA's doing whatever they're currently capable of doing, which isn't a lot because, like I mentioned, they are slashed. And even now, Trump is saying, yeah, we might get rid. I mean, FEMA right now is doing their thing, but we're still thinking of canceling FEMA. We're thinking of getting rid of it. And of course, they're also trying to pass the blame to Texas. They're like, Texas should have been more prepared for this. Texas is saying, but hey, we didn't get enough warning. But yet even though they're not trying to take the blame, they're not going to really aim it back at Trump too much. So all they're saying is, hey, the National Weather Service didn't give us enough warning. They just said flash flood, and here in Texas, flash flood doesn't really mean this crazy situation that happened. Flash floods is usually a quick, heavy rainfall, and then it goes away and things. It doesn't ever reach this current level of natural disaster that we're currently facing. But the fact of the matter is, if the National Weather Services and NOAA wasn't slashed the way it was because of Doge, they probably would have gotten even more. Those department agencies would have gotten a lot more information with their weather balloons in the sky that are currently not in the sky because they've been taken out thanks to Trump. They would have gotten more, real-time data that might have been able to prepare Texas a little more for the situation that they're currently enduring. It would have been a better situation had that agency had the full budget that they used to have, and they currently don't. So anyway, Trump is saying, we're only here for support. The states are the ones that should be handling natural disasters, which is a first because that's never been the case. Natural disasters has always been a federal issue. The FBI and FEMA always put boots to the ground, and and they're the ones who take control. They are supporting the states that are in danger, but also they're the ones heading the disaster efforts. That's always been the case. Now Trump is like, nope, it's going to be the other way around. You guys deal with it, and we'll be here to support here and there where it's needed. Now let me go back to my golf trip, because that's what I do as the president. I go on my weekend golfing exertions while everything else goes to hell, because it's all about me, my truths. Let's see. So yeah, I went through this a lot faster than I thought I was going to. Then again, it's just so much, and I really don't want to. I don't know. It's depressing as hell. The only sort of good news that I can say that's happened, we have this alligator Alcatraz, which is really a concentration camp in the middle of a swamp in the Everglades. I think it's where it is in Florida. That's going to be one of the newest destinations for immigrants that are being rounded up by ICE. And the beauty of this for these sadists is that it's going to be in the middle of a swamp. So if anyone tries to escape alligator Alcatraz, they run the risk of an alligator or pythons that are in the waters. So it's like completely like it's like a moat, reverse moat situation where you're stuck in this hellscape of a prison and with no way out. And if you can try to risk your way out, but hey, alligators and pythons in that water there to take you out. So they were so proud of getting this up and running in 8 days. And the first day of opening, that they were showing it off, doing a tour of it and everything, it flooded. It flooded on the first day, which just goes to show what a horrible situation this is, because it's definitely not a safe place to be in terms of, prisons are not safe in general, but the fact that it has a flooding problem and it's just opened is already another sign that, people are can easily get sick or die with this flooding situation. It's not well built. So, a tropical storm could take it out. Hurricane, it's Florida. They're hit with hurricanes every year. Like a hurricane could probably kill off a bunch of people in that prison. Or come on, it's really just a concentration camp. So that's the only sort of look at this. They can't even build a prison right kind of thing. But the sad truth is that's not going to stop them. They're still going to keep it going. They're going to keep it open and just whatever happens there. It's just it's a sad world we live in right now, and things are not going to get any better. Yeah, I wish I had happier news to talk about, but no, I don't. The world is just shit. It really is. So yeah, that wraps up the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, if you have any questions, comments, what have you, you can reach me via the contact form on my website or click on the link in the show notes. If you're feeling extra generous, you can click the donate link in the show notes and send some dollars my way. This show is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. This means you can share this audio, remix it, do whatever you want. Just say where you got it from. And as always, thank you for listening.